Salutations to all my utopians out there, Global here on behalf of Global Utopian Sports. I was reflecting on some of my videos in the past, and I remember the free agency video. I left out one major market and some marquee free agents. That market being the Los Angeles Lakers and LO M Beasley and D'Angelo Russell. Two guys who were acquired at the trade deadline. On paper, it looked like it was going to be a no-brainer. However, as the season progressed into the postseason, they kind of fizzled out. And immediately I had to ask myself, well, for the Lakers, what is the need right now? Yes, Austin Reeves and Roy Hitcham are a priority. However, that team still needs another piece for firepower. It can't be just LeBron and AD. They need a certified 30-point bucket getter. And immediately what comes to mind is the guy who was at the playoffs, the guy who went to LeBron's podcast after getting dropped by Nike, Kyrie Irving. And my understanding with Kyrie is he wants to get $200 million. That to me is way too much for a mid-30 point guard who hasn't won anywhere else besides with LeBron and has never played a full 82 game season. But if I'm the Lakers, I would definitely make a proposal for D'Angelo Russell, LO M Beasley, and Mo Bamba, three guys who are expendable in my opinion. When they acquired Malik, he was a top 10 spot-up shooter. He was above 40%. It looked like a no-brainer with such a selfless passer and LeBron who can draw a double, sometimes triple team. And Anthony Davis, the same could be said about him being able to draw a double team, a triple team. And for whatever reason, he just kind of lost favor, and Dennis Schroeder was getting a lot of those minutes. And then D'Angelo Russell, I think everyone's seen the meltdown, but he's had an interesting career. His first stint with the Lakers wasn't so bad, but he had a poor choice in judgment and went to Brooklyn and completely ran this up-tempo offense with them, and they were looking like a really fun team after many years of plenty of mistakes from the front office. Then they go ahead and liquidate the roster to get Kyrie and KD, and we've seen how that worked out. They probably were better off just staying where they were. The grass isn't always greener, so to speak. But now you fast forward, and there's this big conundrum right now in Dallas about what they should do with Kyrie, who wants, from my understanding, $200 million. And if I'm the Dallas Mavericks, though you definitely fumbled the bag with Jalen Brunson, this isn't the way to go about redeeming the mistake. There's no way I can see any scenario where Kyrie is going to survive the 4 years if he signs there for that amount of money, hypothetically. And so there's clearly only one place he belongs. There's only one star he belongs with. And I think that's in LA. And his style and his game would be marvelous under the Tinseltown cameras and spotlight. He plays exactly the brand of basketball Genie intended when they moved off of Phil Jackson after winning a championship, trying to get to a more up-tempo, flashy style Showtime basketball. By no means am I making the assertion that Kyrie Irving is Magic Johnson, but with that being said, he definitely brings that flair that you want to see in LA. And I don't need to get into the history of him and LeBron, but I feel like it would be good kosher for his career and good karma for him, just knowing how embarrassing the ending was in Cleveland, seeing how he made some very not so encouraging remarks about LeBron, about him being a stat padder basically, and already knowing what he went through with Dan Gilbert, and then him going to a rival team in Boston and trying to help mobilize them in that situation, knowing how much trauma Danny Ainge already caused LeBron's early career by acquiring 2 first ballot Hall of Famers in the same offseason. And basically him going to Boston imploding, and then the same thing happening in Brooklyn. Then LeBron being signed with Nike for a lifetime, and still offering Kyrie an opportunity to go on his podcast, The Shop, and and giving him an opportunity at the height of his career, at the pinnacle of possibly it being over, to the point where he almost contemplating retirement, which ultimately would have forced him to nullify his contract. To me, it's crazy to hear he wants $200 million now, because it's like you were about to threaten with retirement, which would have canceled his contract, and now he wants to ask for $200 million. I think he should take a pay cut to go to the Lakers, and make all things right. Through it all, LeBron has remained nothing but classy, took the high road every time, like he always does, and I think it would only make for a good storyline and legitimately make the Lakers some real contenders. I think Kyrie and Anthony Davis alone is very scary. Then you obviously add LeBron in the mix, Austin Reeves. Now you really have, and then what I love the most about it also is that Jay Hood, their first round pick, their 6'5" combo guard out of Indiana, has such a great person to learn from and pattern themselves after. What an advantage that would be on an 82 game season to every day watch how Kyrie conducts himself, plays the game, pick apart, get as much information as he can. I mean, the future would really be set because Shafano is a very gifted player who's constantly evolving, and he can definitely have a lot to learn from a Kyrie. If he can even become a third of what Kyrie is, it's going to be crazy. Because could you imagine a 6'6" Kyrie? And that's kind of what he is. There's no, his jump shot could use some work, but he's virtually by any means necessary type scorer. When you take into account what the package would be, something, centered around D'Angelo Russell, Mo Bamba, which the Mavericks are desperate for, rim protector. They did get Lively, who definitely led the nation in shot blocking last year. But somebody who's been in the league a little bit longer, adding a little bit more depth. And then Malik Beasley, who, another intriguing thing about Malik Beasley, who has a similar game to Tim Hardaway, formerly Malik Beasley of the Denver Nuggets. Tim Hardaway Sr., Tim Hardaway father, made some, Tim Hardaway Jr.'s father made some eyebrow-raising remarks about leadership in Dallas. And Tim has already been frustrated from day one. He never wanted to go to the Dallas. He wanted to play for the Knicks. And because of Porzingis, he ended up being included in that deal. But he wanted to be a lifer in New York. And so from day one, point I'm making is always been kind of shaky ground about being in Dallas. And he's definitely kind of grown into his role a little bit. However, with those kind of comments and knowing what Luka means to the franchise, as frustrating as it must be for the front office over there in Dallas. I mean, first of all, kudos to them because they're just trying their damnness. I mean, at the end of the day, you're not, even though you're in Texas and there's no state tax, it's really difficult to lure free agents and make trades. And they just keep on trying to find ways to make it work with Luka. And at some point, I could see Dallas looking at Luka and saying, it's time to install in our latest chapter, our last ditch resort. And it's like, hey, grow up. You know what I mean? Maybe it's you. Dennis Smith Sr. was one thing. Dennis Smith Jr. was one thing. Then we go get you KP. I'm sorry, Jalen Brunson was there. Jalen Brunson chooses to go to New York. Now, I'm not saying that's a direct disrespect or slight to Luka, but when you're playing with a top 5 superstar in the league, you know what I mean? For you to want to leave to go to a team that didn't, that's not really a threat in the playoffs, it tells you something. And I get it. His dad played for the Knicks. He's got a great relationship with James Dolan. James Dolan has done wonders James Dolan he's done wonders for whoever plays for the franchise, whether it be Marcus Camby when he was there, whether it be Sprewell. Now I know there's some questions with Charles Oakley and all that, but Dolan for the most part looks out for his players and he pays people. Okay, that's what you expect an owner to do, and he breaks bread. And so it's understandable. Jalen Brunson grew up with his dad playing for the Knicks. I can see the correlation, but he can carve out his own legacy. And if he really thought he could win a ring with the Mavericks and get paid, but they didn't for whatever reason, one reason or other, whether it's the Mavericks or it was Jalen Brunson, it didn't happen, and he left. And to me, the Porzingis thing was really a big shock for me because I really thought this is going to be it. This is the combination, and now you got Tim Hardaway's pops making comments, and Tim Hardaway's father has no reason to hate on Luka. He has a career of his own. He's one of the original inventors of the killer crossover. He was shooting 35 well before Steph Curry was. Honestly, Steph Curry is quietly from that tree, from that lineage, the Tim Hardaway tree. That's kind of who his game is, similar to. And so he has he has his own legacy. Will Tim Hardaway Sr. ever be confused as a top 10 greatest point guard of all time? No, but he's definitely a brick in the NBA library. he's definitely a foundational piece of the NBA library in bringing an innovation to the game that had never been seen. Allen Iverson, anyone you can think of with a crossover, you have to talk about Tim Hardaway. Okay, so if he has an opinion, long story short, it holds weight. There's only one team for Kyrie, and for the Mavericks, don't end up in purgatory trying to redeem a mistake that you made. Own up to it, let it go, stop shedding light on it. Go ahead and liquefy for some more quality depth. D'Angelo Russell can be had for a reasonable price in an era where a lot of people are getting paid a little bit too much, 10, 20 million over their value. He's a guy who legitimately can be had. And right now, I get the sense, like I stated earlier, with him, maybe not as happy with his role as a spot-up shooter, being reduced to an off-ball scorer, would welcome a new opportunity to kind of do the role that Jalen Brunson did. And Malik Beasley probably would like a new start. Mo Bamba being in Dallas could focus more on his game as opposed to the LA Lights, even though I do think he could do for the LA market, he could do for the Lakers what I believe Jordan Poole's going to do for the Wizards, being a secondary media star like TikTok and Twitter, bringing that type of attention. But if not, it doesn't matter. If I'm the Mavericks, you have to really think long and hard. I think that would be the more economically wise decision. All right. So to all my supporters out there, let me know what you think. What should the Lakers do? What should the Mavericks do? Should Kyrie go to the Lakers? Could LeBron and Kyrie unite for another championship? Let me know what you think. All right. Global out. Take care.